Alright, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chain. Let's cover a bunch of stuff today from Bitcoin. Bitcoin finally having a huge break. And I want to cover overall, just going forward, I want to bring up a few top signals, things that I'm really thinking about as far as over the next 3 to 6 months is going to be very important to be paying attention to. So let's cover a bunch of stuff. We'll check on some memes, some AI, a little bit of altcoins at the end. But let's get into it. We got Bitcoin, classic Bitcoin, 72K. So if you guys saw my other video, I actually thought that Bitcoin was going to drop here, and it ended up just like really having a nice run and continuing to start moving. Very, very clear, clean break into the upside. In my opinion, I've been saying it since down here. I personally do not see any major reason to be bullish in this market right now. Outside of the volatility from the US election coming up, that is going to be probably pretty volatile. I don't know why it wouldn't be. But, like I said, it definitely is probably going to chop. I would not be surprised to see some sort of pullback until early November. Worst case, and maybe it continues to send from there. But overall, Bitcoin looks very good, guys. This is really good for structure no matter what it does now. This push has been in my opinion, the confirmation in which we really are forming very bullish structure, even though, yeah, technically we didn't crack the all-time high yet. This has broken previous, lower high structures, high lows. So as far as whatever Bitcoin does now, I personally don't think it matters. But when I say that, of course it matters, because markets they're going to move up and down very heavily right now. But, any sort of major corrections at this point, I'm not full out, really questioning if this market's over or anything. Because like I said, this has been the confirmation for me. To really be bullish going forward. So as long as Bitcoin can maintain this structure, even just stay above low 60s over the span of the next few weeks, even if it comes down to some weird shit, and then eventually it has one more leg up, it's probably going to pull something like this. But obviously this time span with the drawing is, kind of pushing it out. But, think of that compressed. Probably going to see some volatility, and then into another move to the upside. I don't know if it's going to really depend on which president getting in. We may see different results, with the presidency, one way or the other, and then that actually might lead to different kind of movements with the entire market. It's definitely, I don't know. It's hard to say, obviously, what's going to happen with the election, but I do think that different outcomes are going to lead to different kinds of price action, but like I said, either way, I'm prepared for a little bit of chop, even more downside until after the election, once there's more certainty in the market, to then see, more pushing from Bitcoin. And I wanted to bring something up. I'm actually gonna, so we got Bitcoin dominance. Because I've seen a lot on my timeline. I don't know why I'm on stocks here. A lot on the timeline, talking about the Bitcoin dominance at 60%. For me, I can't say that I'm, bullish or bearish on it. Frankly, I don't even think that it's something too major that you really got to be paying attention to at the moment. But the reason why I say that, though, is because a lot of people, like I said, have been, on the timeline saying that, oh, we're going to get an altcoin season right now, or it's coming right now. But personally, I don't think it's coming right now at all, and I'll tell you guys why. Bitcoin is at 72K. We have not made an all-time high. We've not broke past anything right now. So for altcoins to just start moving, even for Bitcoin dominance, if it did start dropping like crazy, from right now into November, mid-November, I'd actually really question, what the hell is happening in the market. Because I would actually expect now, Bitcoin dominance, I think, is actually going to go higher than 60%, probably to at least 64, 65. I would think. Obviously, most people have been looking at this as like a, support level thing, or I'm sorry, support or resistance rather. But I think it's just going to break a little higher than we think. Because at the end of the day, I think once Bitcoin being at the market cap that it's sitting at, and if we have a ton of institutions, major players buying it this time, pushing it a lot higher than we did in the last cycle, a lot of that money that's actually going to push it up is going to be institutional capital. And again, it's going to take a lot more of that capital to push it even higher than it went before. So I think the dominance easily could go a lot higher than people think. But again, I don't think that that's a bad thing in any way. The only thing that it means is that Bitcoin is going up, and that is mainly what we want in the market, right? But yeah, I drew this. That's actually funny. I drew this thing when? Like August, September. I literally just kept this here. But yeah, like I said, even 62, I think it's just a little higher. Maybe even right here, 63. I mean, that's not a great level. It's like an internal resistance here, but that's not a great level by any means. Either way, like I said, I think dominance, either way, no matter what happens, is going to continue to rise. You're basically betting on, is Bitcoin about to go up, or is it just going to consolidate, do nothing, and we start to see alts move for some reason, which I just don't think is going to happen at all. But Bitcoin interest, what is this, like one past day? Yeah. So we still got Bitcoin interest at absolute lows, which is beautiful. We're starting to get a spike up to 23 in time right now. But I want to cover a couple of things, talking about when I potentially can see us topping out. I don't really have a set date on when I think we can top out, because it's going to be very hard to ever time, the top of a bull run. But in my opinion, if we just even look at the previous cycle, right, we can kind of consider us ranging in between the previous high of last cycle, or the cycle before, to where we're sitting now. I don't know why this isn't loading past February here, but obviously so far we've basically just been chilling right above the previous high. We have not been in an actual price discovery type run yet. But like I said, I do expect this to actually happen. Outside of a little chop, consolidation, whatever, I expect this to eventually just, maybe not like that, but expect it to have a nice run at some point, at least to about 85, I would say maybe 90K. That's kind of where I'm seeing, really where I'm thinking, as far as, when we get a first push, into a cool off. But after that, guys, it's going to be very hard to know what's going to happen. I know a lot of people are probably going to expect a dip, and we might actually continue to go higher from there. Trying to think about how the chart looks, months ahead of time. Obviously, drawing it just looks completely wrong, right? But I've seen a lot of people kind of take this. They think it's going to copy some sort of trajectory like this, which it could. Maybe it does. Just kind of go straight up like this. But same thing, I don't know if that's going to happen. I think we'll probably have a nice push, heavy dump, and we'll probably continue from there. But either way, something I'm really going to be targeting, I'm going to give you guys a few things as far as top signals that I'm focusing on right now. Number one is I want to see Bitcoin, the dominance way higher, and I want to see it look like it's topped out somewhere. Including with Bitcoin dominance, I want to see Bitcoin at least well into price discovery. And by well into it, I mean, not at 75, 76K, barely breaking above. I want to see this thing, go on like a month, maybe 2-month hiatus, just full blasting ahead. Literally like we saw from down here. Obviously, this wasn't price discovery, but we saw this run here. Everyone thought it was going to continue to dump, and it just kept going. I think if we see some sort of run like this, even if it's half of what this run was, that's going to be something huge. I want to see Bitcoin have a great run. well into all-time highs. Easily going to be number one. Number two, after that, I want to see ETH and Solana go into price discovery. Ethereum, I don't know lately. I've had a lot of different thoughts on Ethereum. I think once Bitcoin is breaking out into new highs, pushing really hard, I think it's going to take a lot for Ethereum to actually get back to its all-time high. I think Ethereum is actually going to be a very slow lagger in this cycle, because a lot of people are going to say when, Bitcoin's at 75, 80, 90K, everyone is going to expect, Ethereum to be at 5, 6K, which I still expect it to go pretty high, but I think, honestly, just for it to get back to its local high here, I think it's going to take a little bit longer than people are thinking. But I think Solana is actually going to be the coin that goes well into price discovery way before Ethereum will. And again, I'm still betting on Ethereum this cycle, I'd say a major portion of any sort of utility projects are built on top of ETH. I don't think ETH is going anywhere this cycle either. But like I said, definitely slow lagger. So that's going to be number two. I want to see Sol. Yeah, my fault. Losing my voice somehow. Bitcoin, well into all-time highs, price discovery. Same with ETH. Same with Sol. Next is I want to see some sort of major retail interest in the market. Again, we do not have any interest in this market whatsoever still from retail. I'm going to shut this here. Even Bitcoin, still very low. If we can get this a lot higher, that's going to be a good factor. Even Solana, if Solana becomes a major search term, I want to see retail interest heavily in this market, whether it's random crazy ads that, news channels and stations are running now, talking about Bitcoin at all-time high, and it's, bringing a lot of people into the market. I want to see interest in crypto just really have a nice run up. That's going to be a third factor outside of, coins well into all-time highs, then Solana and ETH really pushing hard, right? Retail interest definitely is going to come in, and I do think that Coinbase app, I know it's a very common thing for a lot of people to say, but I've been thinking about it. I think that is going to play out very similarly as the previous cycles. And the reason why is because, in the U.S. specifically, obviously U.S. has a lot of capital, right? But I think Coinbase is still one of the only major good platforms in which, any sort of retail investor is actually still familiar with, and that is going to be comfortable actually using to buy crypto, and link their bank accounts and stuff like that. Every single person I know in real life that's ever heard of crypto, they know what Coinbase is. They don't know any other exchanges. They don't know anything else. All they know is Coinbase. So I almost feel like for a fact, Coinbase is probably going to be within the top 5 by the time retail interest is actually peaking out. But with that said, I've said it on the channel before too. I also think we're going to see Phantom Wallet or some sort of meme application, kind of like Slingshot or Moonshot app, which are, they're basically little simple, crypto applications in which you can just buy meme coins on. I think if we can see a combination of Coinbase, Phantom Wallet, even if TradingView and Dex Screener start to move up too. That's not a major one, but like I said, Coinbase, even Coinbase Wallet to Phantom Wallet, and at least like Moonshot on Solana, some Solana meme coin apps. If we see any of those and all of those within the top 5 of the App Store, 100% that is going to be a top signal. I know for a fact. Because again, for me, I'm very much so invested in memes. I 100% think the meme coin super cycle is actually going to happen way harder than a lot of people think. And I literally can see Moonshot being a number 1 app in the App Store. So that's definitely something I'm going to be paying attention to heavily. But again, so we need all these charts to be breaking well into all-time highs. Again, even if ETH is a little slow, it's not fully at all-time highs, that's still okay. But I want to see basically all-time highs across the board, starting with Bitcoin. Interest in crypto and retail interest, I want it to be very heavy and very apparent that retail is fully on board in crypto again. I want to see all those apps on the App Store. I think those are just going to be fairly simple signs, when we're actually going to get a top out or a blow off top rather. Actually, let me pull up TradingView again. I don't know why I closed that. But either way, those are going to be some top signals. Some of the most major ones I want to see, and obviously there's some like technical indicators that, have kind of peaked out and shown, tops in the previous cycles. Something else too is actually going to be the RSI. The RSI in crypto is one of the only indicators I use consistently, and I mainly use it on a high time frame. I don't use it on, micro cap coins or, very short term stuff, but the RSI I think is a very, very strong indicator in crypto to just indicate momentum and where momentum's headed. But I think, this is on a daily, but if we can go to a weekly, I'm like, why am I not clicking it? Okay, maybe not a weekly, but yeah, maybe a weekly. Weekly or daily, I know daily we're almost already there. But for some reason, if we can get back well into the green here a second time, even though in this cycle, we didn't even get back to that, I think we still have a nice span of time. I feel like we are going to get somewhat in the green again. I don't think we're going to hit this kind of peak again. But if we can get to, what is that? 80? If we can get around maybe 80 on the RSI on the weekly, and we see, some sort of major push into the green like that, that is going to be another huge signal that potentially would be time to, start taking profits and actually jumping out of the market. And the thing is, is I'm not saying that this little push over the next, month or 2 months is going to be the top. We're still only I'd say we're still less than, less than 9 months since the Bitcoin halving. And based on previous cycles too, it took about over a year and a half for altcoins to actually have their blow off top after the after the halving. So that would actually indicate that well into 2025 would be when altcoins would top out. I'm kind of calculating a lot of stuff though very early into 2025 would be some sort of, at least top. I almost look at it like this cycle, so we can kind of time this, with this run here, getting out and being patient and either maybe missing the rest of the cycle or whatever. Or, you kind of are just going to be holding through the early parts of the year, going through the dumps, and then we see another run up. Even though this cycle, I don't think it's going to pull exactly what happened here, but I just expect on this run is going to be mainly what I'm paying attention to. And if we get full retail interest, we get everything lining up with what I said earlier, even if it's at this point in the cycle where we finally just get that huge first major push to all-time highs into price discovery, this is going to be somewhere I'm really paying attention to get out of the market. And like I said, it might be considered early, but again, it's different. I'm not even different, but I don't want to say I want to sell the whole cycle early, but at the same time, guys, cycle very long term is really just about securing a ton of profits, once we really start moving high, and it's going to just be day by day as well. Let's say if it pulls something like this, little pullbacks and continue up, but for this cycle, we'll play it by ear, right? Either way, that's kind of what I'm paying attention to, watching in the market. I said I was going to go into altcoins, but I think I'm going to drop another video tomorrow going, fully into altcoins again. This was kind of just an analysis for watching for top signals, stuff like that. I just think it's going to be key going forward because, I think especially if a lot of you, this is your first bull run, you never experienced what it was like, down here when retail interest wasn't there. and then you watched retail interest go full force, you can tell the difference in the market from right now to where we're, trying to get to, when it comes to that interest and when we could see some sort of topping out. So again, if it's your first cycle, you're in for a ride here. It's going to be volatile as fuck, but going to be really good. So outside of that, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.